Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, everybody. This is one that I'm very excited about. And the reason being is this is going to be the first podcast where you guys meet Allie, my fiance and soon-to-be wife. I don't know if, I've told the story a little bit, but kind of where we met, but not really. But the reason this podcast is what it is now is because of Allie.
Oh my goodness.
We're going to get into it. But let me back it up here. So when I was sick, she would reach out to me all the time. And I was kind of a D-bag and wouldn't reach back out. It's just kind of how it is. And I started this podcast, and it was something I was really nervous about. And Allie's the only person that ever reached out and said, you know what, keep doing it. This is cool. This is something that's kind of interesting. And that's really it. I don't even think you listened to it. Probably not. But that's okay.
A little bit. I started.
It's all right. I get it. Sometimes it's rough. But
now I'm a regular.
Now you're a regular. There you go. But that's the thing. Is like she's the only person that believed in me to start this. And now we're getting married, which is kind of crazy.
It's really crazy.
But we actually have a long history. Before we get into it, I'll let her introduce herself. Say hi, Allie.
Hello. I'm Alessandra.
Yeah, you are.
All right. Yeah, I guess we do have a long history. We go way back.
It's true.
I guess technically junior high, even though we didn't really know each other that well. But
back in the olden days.
Yeah, it's a way.
In junior high school, I was on something called Hurricane Watch, which is like a what was it? What would you call that?
It's like the school news.
Yeah, the school news.
He was like the broadcaster guy. It makes sense where you are now with your life.
I just talk. That's it. But did you ever think like, oh man, that guy on there, I'm going to marry that guy?
No. So then we became good friends sophomore year. Okay, we're in driver's ed class. Good times. And we're in the same friend group. But even then, never once did I think that.
We had some good times in driver's ed.
I mean, we had fun. We went to a school dance that same year.
We did.
It was super fun.
I'll post a picture. That'll be the podcast episode cover. Is that one.
Oh my goodness, throwback.
Oh, nice.
That's painful. So, I mean, we're always good friends, but we never ever...
Yeah, we'd hang out in high school, all that kind of stuff.
All the same.
Back in the day, that was almost 10 years ago. And now, Allie and I are getting married. It's kind of crazy.
It's crazy.
But it's all because she reached out and she's like, hey, this is kind of cool. Keep doing it. And I haven't stopped. And I won't because she keeps me going. But Allie's also someone who, one of the reasons I wanted to bring on here is because she is someone who like inspires others to keep moving, keep getting after it. And she's got a bunch of stuff she's doing on her own. And she's someone I really admire with like her work ethic and all this stuff. One thing that's pretty cool about her is she's a pilot. She hates that I bring this up, but I have to. It's so cool.
Every time you bring it up, and like we're in casual conversation, just meeting some random stranger, and Brett goes, "Hey, do you know she's a pilot?" I'm like, "Oh my, I'm embarrassed."
Everyone needs to know.
It's very sweet, but it's kind of embarrassing.
No, she's not just a pilot. She's an instructor, so she teaches other people too.
Yeah.
What was it like? What was the first time you went up in a plane like?
Very hot because I was in Arizona. But it was so neat. I didn't actually decide to go straight into flying. I went on a discovery flight with my brother and our friend John. And I don't remember the instructor's name, but it was really neat. It was before, it was like 2017, I think it was.
Dang.
Yeah, so it's been a little while. But we went up just for fun. We had a couple friends that said now it's time to get in aviation. And my brother and his buddy were looking for a new career. And so we went out and we went flying, and it was great. Then I went and started a mission for our church. And when I get back, I decided to start going to college because I was like, college sounds fun, and everyone talks about college and business. You're like, great. My dad was a businessman. I was like, oh, that'd be cool to own something. Not knowing one single thing about business or knowing what direction I would want to take with it. So I didn't start flying until a little bit later, and then I finally got into it in, like I said, in 2019, beginning of 2020.
Dang.
So now I'm finishing my hours as a flight instructor out of Spanish Fork, Utah. And for my brother's flight, now flight school, Simply Fly.
Was there a time, because I think a lot of people have that, they'll go to school because they think it's the right thing to do, but there's still something that's like, no, I want to do that instead. Was that scary to be like, okay, was there a time in a class when you're like, you know what, I could be up in the sky right now?
I wouldn't say, I feel like I really enjoy flying. It was hard to imagine it as a career for me. I thought for sure I'd get my license and just put around and have fun. Because I was like, that would be so sick. I remember, well, the thing is, I sort of stopped liking college because I was like, I'm spending money for something I don't know what I'm going to do. And so it was, the next semester was coming around, I was enrolled in everything, and I had to keep meeting with the counselor, trying to figure out what courses to take. And I hated meeting with the counselor for some reason. I'm like, this is so depressing. Anytime I'm in the school, I feel depressed. And so I figure out what class I'm supposed to take. I'm enrolled. First day of school, the new semester, I was like, you know what? I don't feel like going to school. So my mom was in town because I was just moved up to Utah. And same day, I was like, you know what? I don't want to go to school. I'm going to drop all my classes. And she's like, no, you're not. Same day, I would do all my classes. And then once I did that, we went straight to Spanish work, and I started flying the same day. And so I think it was more of a rash decision. And I think it needed to be like that for me. Or I am one who just, I get so nervous about trying something new that I just kind of paralyze at times. And so I'm glad I jumped on it when I did. So it was kind of a rash decision, but it worked out for me.
I think you said a lot, and it's important, what you just said. What about school? Were you just like, what did you hate? What was your biggest hang up on school?
I enjoy learning, but not without direction, I think is what it is. And so because
So you were just going to like take general classes and stuff? Okay.
There was nothing going on. It's like 2 classes were towards business. Everything is like elective garbage that you just have to pay money for no reason. And so I just didn't really see, it's like, yeah, I guess I just didn't see like a good outcome because I had no direction. Yeah. And so, I mean, I like the college scene. It's fun to meet new people. You're around people all the time. That's great and all. But just sitting in class thinking about nothing the whole time.
I tell people this all the time. Like the only reason I have my degree is to show that I can.
That you have a degree?
Yeah, that I have a degree. That's the only reason. Everything else, like I want to learn, I do it either through experience or like actually learning things. And ever since I've done that, it's been the best. So, like, it sounds like you've had a similar experience about flying.
Yeah.
So what are your long-term goals? What do you want to do? With flying?
With flying. Yes. Well, ideally, I work for an airline that I'm also home regularly. My biggest fear getting into aviation was that I wasn't going to be able to be a mom and pilot. And so now that I'm further in my career, or towards my career, I suppose, I see opportunities that there are with aviation and being able to be home. Yeah. So that's more like an Allegiant or a Breeze or Southwest and things that are more flexible to a pilot's other outside of aviation responsibilities. So I lean to more airlines like that where I can still have aviation as a career. I want to fly passengers. I think it'd be fun. Everyone says that passengers are the worst part because it's people, but I love people. So I think that would be great. I mean, as long as no one's insane. But I want to be like around people a lot, and I like traveling, and I just love most everything about aviation. So I want to stick with it, but I definitely am not one to surrender my entire life to one thing. So yeah. I like dabbling around.
Hey, you and me both. That's why we're getting married. But
Fair.
One thing I wanted to say, Allie took me up in a plane a couple weekends ago. Last weekend, never mind. And now I'm going to be a pilot. And one reason,
convinced.
Yeah, one reason I love this podcast is like it's like almost an accountability thing for me. So I say, hey, I'm going to be a pilot. I'm going to go do it. So we fly next week, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. I know. I mean, we've talked about having a plane and you getting your license one day and stuff, but take you up once and you're ready to roll. So
ready to go.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a good time.
Hopefully we work well as student teacher, but.
I mean, either way, we're going to be Top Gun. So it's going to be nice.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I'm excited.
What about being a mom is important to you? Like, why is that something that's your focus of, like, you want to be present in the home?
Right. I would say, I don't know, I had a great family. I mean, I have a great family. And growing up, I just become even closer with them. And I see the value of having people in your corner. And I just never want my kids to ever feel like they couldn't rely on their mom or that I wasn't there either emotionally, like physically. I don't know. It's just like when I think of a family, I think of a team and you just want to build them up and everyone needs to do their part. but I just see the value in having that strong relationship to like further your children's success. Like my parents, awesome, love them. And I think that the reason I am the way I am is because of how I was raised. And I like owe everything to them. And so it just makes me want to continue that. I wouldn't say tradition, but continue that on to the next generation of our kids.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, it's important. You gotta teach these kids discipline, you know? We're done. We're done. We do things like burn altars growing up and, you know.
Yeah,
but
next thing you know, we have to teach kids. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think those are really important. Especially now. Like, it's harder with all these distractions and stuff to not be present in the home. But, you know, we owe it to them.
I know. I'm so excited. I can definitely wait. I am so excited, though.
Yeah.
It's just going to be so much fun. Just raising little minions.
Little minions, wow.
Little versions of us. They're going to be so cute.
Immediately went Despicable Me, the little yellow guys.
Okay, not those type of minions. I meant like a little version of you and a little version of me. Because we only have 2 children. That's the goal, right?
It's a goal. Who knows? One thing I think is important to know and like ask, like at least try to have a conversation about is balance in life. And that's one thing I've talked about a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think this is something that you have strength in. Allie is able to literally work all the time as an instructor. She will go serve her church. She will exercise, get after it, which, by the way, she's been coming with me in the morning. It's been the best. But she's always doing stuff, and she somehow makes time for everyone who cares about her, and she reaches out to people who like need it, and she's always there. How do you balance that? Because that's something I struggle with. I think a lot of people do.
Okay, you gave yourself not enough credit. Brett is an angel and always thinks that he is not making enough time for everything. But you have done so well. I wouldn't even say that I'm great at it. I think that right now we're coming out of winter in Utah and I've had more time. Aviation is directly related to the weather. So because we had an endless snowstorm this whole winter, I definitely had more time away from aviation. As far as flying goes, I mean, there's always work to be done on the ground, but I think one, I was able to have more time. Another thing is now that I'm going to gym with you at 5:30 in the morning,
Let's go.
I have definitely more time instead of me waking up a little late, going at like 8:30. So no, I don't know. I think being able to prioritize what matters most is how I get things done. Just having a little to-do list.
Yeah.
Checking those things off as a day. Don't let yourself go to bed until you're done with it.
Do you have like a routine for that? Like, do you prep the night before? Do you do it the morning of?
Usually, it depends. I try to have like an endless list. So when I think of something that needs to be done, I just put it on it. So
there you go.
I wouldn't say it's like a night or a morning, but as things come to mind, it just gets on the list. And my goal is to never close my apps, like the ones that matter, like my notes and my reading apps and stuff, so that they're always there, so I can always see them and I don't forget about my goals.
I love that. Just have a structure.
Yeah.
It takes time to learn that stuff.
It's tough.
But I want to circle back to the college thing because that's a topic I think a lot of people struggle with. Like college. People are like, I don't know if I want to go to college, if they start college, like when they graduate. Like sometimes people just have no idea what to do.
Right.
It sounds like you figured it out, at least partly. Like you took some serious steps to like go against the grain. Be like, you know what? Screw college. I'm not learning. I don't like this. I hate it. I'd rather fly. Like that takes a lot of courage, I think. Well, it's scary. I don't think I could do that. But the question I have is, what advice would you give someone who's starting out on a new path, pursuing a goal, based on your own experiences?
I would say pick one thing and just go all in. We've been talking about that a lot lately with having we've been talking a lot about I put a lot on my plate a lot of times and thinking that I have a goal in each category and there's a lot I want to do and I realize that there's a whole long life to get a lot done. But I think success comes from when you dial in to when you decide what you want to do, you gotta put all your focus in it. And that's the only way you're going to be able to be successful in that one thing. And then when you are feeling confident in that, add another thing and keep chugging along.
I love that. The only thing I would add on to that is just try things.
Yeah.
Experiment.
For sure.
Go out there. Take some flights.
Talk to the right people.
Go talk to a police officer. Maybe that's something you want to try. Yeah. But that's that's huge. And I think that's great advice, actually. Like, if you want something, go all in on it and don't look back. Like, be proud of your choice. Be confident in your decision. Just get after it, baby.
Get after it.
Get after it. But no, I love that. Another thing that Allie just inspires me for is when we had lunch in September of last year, and this is where our whole relationship really started in terms of, like, we're getting married now.
I know it seems fast, but we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah, we've known each other for like almost 10 years. But,
over that.
Yeah, that's true. But when we went out to lunch, so she reached out to me before and she's like, hey, keep doing your podcast. This is cool. Nice work. And then I came down to Arizona and I was like, all right, hey, I'm in town. Let's go get lunch. You've reached out to me 30 times and I've always told you no.
I sound so desperate.
No,
okay,
yeah,
wait,
okay, that's
pause.
true.
Let's back that up. I was not just begging Brett to catch up with me.
No, she was.
We knew that he was sick, and all of our friends, I was the last one in Arizona. Everyone else was living in Utah. And so everyone was calling me saying, I think Brett is dying. Go find him. And I was like, I am trying. And so every couple months I would try to catch up, and it just never, he just ghosted me.
I ghosted her, and I'm regretting that.
Yeah,
but I finally reached out to her, and I was like, hey, I'm in town. Let's go grab some lunch. So we went to Cafe Rio, if anyone knows what that is. And we just talked for a while and caught up. And then she mentioned, she goes, you know what, you could do, we talked a little bit about running, right? Or something. And she goes, you know what?
Hell for the holidays.
That's right. I've talked about Hell for the Holidays on this. It's the best. Somehow we talked about it. I don't know how.
Probably about your podcast.
Yeah, that's probably true. But she brought up, she goes, every year we do this thing for my dad called Team Tim, where we run a half marathon in his honor. And she goes, we're doing it in Carlsbad, January of next year. Like, you should join. And so I committed to her. I was like, you know what? I can, because you probably have heard the story before if you've listened to this, but I was told by doctors, you know what? You can't run half marathons. You're going to have a heart attack and die. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I won't do it then. Anyways, as I started feeling better, I was like, you know what? I'm going to work towards that. And I was like, I'm going to join Team Tim. But the message behind Team Tim, I think, is huge. And it's, you try hard things. One of my favorite quotes, and I wear it on my arm every day, is be hard to kill. And that came from Tim, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why he started wearing a t-shirt from that. It's from some military guy. But that's my dad's the one that started advocating it. Yeah, in our family. Do
you mind talking a little bit about Team Tim? Where it came from, how it started, and where it's at now?
Team Tim. I love my dad. So, yeah, we've been doing these races since 2019 now. In 2017, the beginning of 2017, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. At the time, they thought it was prostate cancer, but then it ended up being what's called squamous cell carcinoma. And I guess it was like a really rare, they were unfamiliar with it. And so he immediately started going on like experimental treatments. Originally, he was given like 4 to 6 months. And so at the time, I lived across the country. So that was a stress ball. I came home for a little bit, and as we're trying to figure this out, thinking he only has a couple months. And during that time, my dad is like the most positive person ever. Like, he would kill me, actually.
This is the best. He really is the most positive.
I'm going to tell the story anyways. He'd be so embarrassed, but not really. So, like, his cancer was in his prostate, his, like, literally every organ. Like, I don't even know all the organs in there, but all the organs in there, he had cancer in it. Yeah. And one of the issues is that he couldn't control when he went to the bathroom. And so for a phase, he wore a diaper, okay? He is the most precious man ever. And one time I walk in their room, he was in his diaper, and he's just standing in front of the mirror. And I'm like startled. I was like, what's going on? I didn't even know he was wearing one. And he's like, you know what? He's like posing in the mirror. He goes, I'd be really sad that I had to wear a diaper, but I just look so good. I can't even be sad about it. I was like, and this man who just like is getting like chemo treatments, and he couldn't do radiation because it was in his lungs, but all these different treatments. And so he's just thinking he is the hottest man. And it was just like, oh, he's adorable. So he just like always had that like light about him that he was just so excited about life, and he just loved everyone first of all, but also the thing was doing hard things. He really trained, I feel like, my brother and I to always try to push ourselves to accomplish a difficult task. So like once a year we'd pick like one hard thing we had to do. Physically
growing up?
and yeah.
Okay.
Like physically and like either spiritually or emotionally, like one other topic. So like, okay, I'll run like a 10K, you know, or like, okay, my dad always wanted like hike the Grand Canyon rim to rim and stuff. And so like we make these goals and great. And so that was his big thing, is that confidence comes from when you accomplish something hard. And he really emphasized confidence. I've always lacked that growing up, and there was times I couldn't go to school because of how beat up I was over it. So he tried everything to teach us how to gain self-confidence for ourselves. And he said that's when you have to do something hard. He was like, you feel good when you do something hard, and everyone is so average. Everyone is not doing something difficult. And so in 2019, back it up. In 2018, there was a cancer run in Utah, and my brother John and I were like, oh, like we'll do a little cancer run for Dad. Like he'll love that. And he did. And my parents came to Utah, and Blake and I did a 10K. Like, woo! And it kicked my butt. Like, I think I ran like 3 times before it. I usually run for cardio, but my run is like 2 miles in my entire life, 2 miles. So we ran this 10K, and I'm just a sweaty sweatso. And so, but my dad was stoked. We made little Team Tim shirts. He loved it. He wore his own shirt, and he was just jazzed out of his mind. So then he came up with this idea, like, we need to invite all of our friends, and next year we're doing a half marathon. And I was like, oh no, like, this stinks. And I'm going to be wrapped
10K is way too much.
I know. I'm going to be wrapped in half marathons now. Like, this sucks. So we invited all our friends. There was a rock and roll half marathon in Vegas the next year. And I think our first year we had maybe like 15 friends actually come. And we all ran a half marathon for my dad. We got an Airbnb for all of us that we all stayed in. And it was awesome. He was like, we all got shirts and the whole 9 yards. And he was just glowing. He's like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, not because it was about him, but because he sees all of our friends who like aren't normal runners or are like not ones to really push themselves and go out there and do something very difficult that most people like can't just get up and go. Yeah. And he loved the whole idea they have to train for it. He's like, this is like a month-long thing, you know? He doesn't care about the day of the event. He's like, this is a month, so like, people are training for this. So in 2019, we had about 15 people. And then 2020 happened, COVID, so all the races were canceled. And he actually passed away August 30th of 2020. So he only saw one established official Team Tim race. But since then, we have kept the tradition going. So we do half marathons in his name. We make our shirts. We now have Be Hard to Kill bracelets, which is like his big thing, is he's hard to kill. Hence, he ended up living for 3 years after his diagnosis when he was given 4 months originally. And we've been doing these half marathons. And I had no idea that first one I was going to be wrapped in this for the rest of my life. But here we are doing races every single year now on his behalf. And cancer research in general, just trying to help people be more aware, I guess, of cancer, but more so that they can do anything they put their minds to. Not many people just go out and run miles for fun. And
it's true.
So, I don't know, just getting all of our friends involved. I think the next year we had about 23 people, and then we had, maybe 25 or something like that. And what do we have in January? Like
55, I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 55 in Carlsbad.
That's awesome.
So we're on the up and up.
Yeah, so at that rate, this next year is going to be 110. So if you're interested in running it, we're going to be doing it hopefully January or February of 2024.
Yeah. In Arizona this year.
Arizona.
Bringing it home. We've done it in Vegas 2 years, Carlsbad, and now we're bringing it back to Arizona.
Yeah.
Stomping grounds.
The stomping grounds.
So.
But to Allie's point, Tim really was one of the most positive people I've ever met. There was a time, and not saying like I was in a bad spot in my life, but I was in high school, so I was dumb. And like my buddy Drake and I, I won't tell him, whatever. He was at the altar with me when we did some
Drake
stuff.
was the main suspect.
Well, maybe. Anyways.
Interesting.
We're not going to indict Drake. Anyways, he was there with me, and we were just hanging out outside your house in high school. And your dad just came
hanging
out.
outside?
Yeah, just hanging outside. Like we were about to go home. I don't know.
That's funny.
I think it was later. It was like late in the night. Late for high school. I don't know. Before your curfew. And Tim comes out and he just goes, you guys are going to do great things. And just as little moments like that, he was always trying to inspire other people. And as I see Allie try and like keep him alive, and she's doing a great job, it's inspiring to me. And so I try and live the principles that he taught, try and be a good person, because it's an important thing. But I want to go back to Team Tim a little bit and ask you, what's the biggest lesson you've learned from running it, either in yourself or like maybe you learned something cool? I don't know.
The biggest lesson from Team Tim?
Yeah.
I would say there's two main ones I think of. One, you can do anything. Like, I've always been just kind of a chunky kid. And I ran a little bit, but not really. And never did I think I'd actually be able to do half a marathon. And now I plan to do a full marathon this next Team Tim.
I gotta stop you there real quick.
I'm scared out of my mind.
She's a killer.
Oh my gosh.
So
he has to say that I have a ring.
No, not a chance. I'm saying it because I'm impressed. We were talking about our mile times today because we both ran. We're in Park City today, which is kind of cool. But we both ran this morning. And we're like, yeah, let's try and do 2 hours. But it was like 38 degrees outside. We're like, oh, let's do an hour. Anyways, so afterwards, we like start talking about our times, like how far we've come. And last Saturday, you did, 12 miles? Like, not even a problem.
Okay, I wouldn't say not even a problem.
Well, of course it's hard, but like, you did it. And,
yeah, I did it.
And then you kept going. And you're getting so much like faster. And to me, that's inspiring. Like, there's a direct change there. And I think that's so cool. Like, you just said it. You can do anything you put your mind to. And that's like the whole message of this podcast is, if there's something out there you want to do, if it's aviation, if it's running, if it's challenging yourself, you can do it. So just do it.
Right. What shocks me is like, people aren't lying when they say consistency is key.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've always like kind of ran. This January race was like my worst race. I think I averaged like a 10:35 pace. Something nice and chugging along.
Where are you at now?
Maybe
though?
I was walking a little bit. Yeah, and then last week when I ran the 12 miles, I think my pace was like a 9:10 maybe.
That's insane.
And stuff. And so it's like, it hasn't been very long, but I decided to run at least a half hour every day or do some form of cardio every day. And then try to do longer runs on Saturday. But, I mean, trying to break 2 hours on my next half marathon, which is June 3rd. So we'll see how that goes.
Easy.
But, yeah, what was I saying? The first thing was doing hard things. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do whatever you put your mind to. And the other one I would say is, I would say probably maybe strength in numbers. With Team Tim, it's been such an awesome support system. And races are so cool because my first race, major anxiety. I was like, and I did cross country in junior high, and I would get anxiety before every race. And
Did you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 7th grade, that was so bad. But, so I always had major anxiety. It's always so stressful. Same with my first Team Tim run. And then when you get there, though, the adrenaline of everyone just trying to be their best is unreal. And I think that's what I've like kind of fallen in love with Team Tim, is that not only do you come to like accomplish hard things, and because of that you start to love yourself more, but you also have like this huge love for like all these other people who are just chugging along.
It's true.
You see like these old people just cruising, or these people who maybe they're just walking the whole thing, but like, wow, most people won't even walk a half marathon. And I think last time when we were in January's half marathon, there was like there's guys in wheelchairs just cruising along.
Got bare feet.
Bare feet guy. Yep. People holding like an American flag. I was like, dang, these people are like so cool.
Spider-Man.
Like, Spider-Man, yeah, Deadpool. We see all these people that just come together to. Everyone there has a purpose. Whether it's bettering themselves, they're there for like a reason, like a cancer or a family member. Everyone's there for like a purpose, and that's like so empowering being amongst people who are also trying to better themselves.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think what that is unite on a common goal, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell a story about the night before the marathon in Carlsbad.
I know.
I've never laughed harder in my entire life. You know what I'm gonna say?
No, I don't remember.
We and to like Allie's point, you'll get together with a bunch of random people, and you'll just be like best friends. Anyways, so like I haven't talked to a couple of my friends from high school since I was sick. Really, didn't really spend a lot of time with them. And we all get to this Airbnb, and it's pouring rain in California, like insane. The streets are flooding. And so we go, okay, I guess we just have to stay inside. So we're in this like weird, creepy Airbnb.
It was kind of cute. It's like an old castle looking thing.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. You'd look at the walls, and there's like a picture of a grandma from the 18th century.
It's outdated.
Like, whew, I don't know. But in terms of outdated, there was this bed. This bed had these like 4 posts on the side that almost hit the roof. And we found out somehow that we...
unscrew them.
Yeah, you can unscrew them. And so me and 2 other of my friends, we grabbed them, and we were pretty much doing like a sword fight kind of thing. And I don't know why, but it was the funniest thing in the entire world. And then like afterwards, we just all hung out.
Just
like,
reuniting.
Now I'm like friends with a bunch of random people that I never knew. And then like after the race, it was fun. We all got pizza and hung out and watched the Bengals play, right? Mm-hmm. Memory. Boom. Nice. So good. But to Allie's point, it's like when you unite on a common goal and you're all doing something, then it's good. Like
empowering.
It's empowering. That's why I think you and I have a common goal, and that's why we're getting married, because we're boom.
I gotta keep doing that. It's true.
But yeah, I think those are all really important lessons. And I'll ask you one more, and then I'll let you go because I know I talk a lot.
Okay.
But what is one value you hold dear to your heart?
Wow. One value. That's a tricky question to pick with just one thing.
Like I'll give you an example of like one that I do, and
right,
it's discipline. Like if you're disciplined, you can do anything. You can do anything. It's just
I want this one so bad.
You're doing great.
I'm trying. I would say, one of the things that I value is, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, is just respect. Respect for yourself, respect for others. My dad always used to say that respect me more than love, because we're told to love everybody, but we choose who respect, and we don't choose who respects us. So I would say that being the type of person that brings honor to your name and your family name, and that people can see you as a hardworking, driven, disciplined, all these like awesome attributes, I feel like are wrapped up in respect for me. Because if you respect someone, then they're going to have all those things that you admire. And I just want to be that person for someone else. And I obviously have a long way to go, but...
No, you're that person for me.
Thanks, babe. But I find that being the most highest form of caring for someone is showing them respect and receiving respect as well.
Yeah. I love that. Just be a good person.
Be a good person. Do your part. Try your hardest.
Try your hardest.
Love everyone.
Love everyone. All right, this will be my last question, actually.
Oh, one more.
What's your favorite thing about me?
Oh, my goodness.
No, I'm just kidding. We don't have to
go
go
on
into
forever.
No, we're not gonna, that was a joke. You're supposed to laugh, and that didn't work.
No, I'm going forever.
Yeah.
Brett's very respectful, very disciplined, treats me the best, inspires me to become my best person.
That sounds
He forces
terrible.
me to do everything. No, I just feel like I'm my best person with Brett, and so I'm very excited for
I feel the same with you. Now it's getting kind of cheesy. Should we get even more cheesier?
Oh, no.
Let's do it.
Oh, I hate
No,
the
let's
cheese.
not do it. You're right.
Thank goodness.
We'll spare them.
Thanks, babe.
But yeah, anything else you want to leave the listeners with? If you want to join Team Tim, send me a DM or...
February, most likely.
Yeah. Let's see how big we can get it.
Yeah, well...
If you're a runner out there...
lots of it, I'm sure.
Calling you out, JT.
Not even runners. That's the whole thing.
That's it.
If you're a runner, if you're not a runner, if you have someone involved with cancer, if you don't, if you want to do something hard, if you want to love yourself, that's Team Tim, baby.
That's Team Tim.
That's it.
Just keeping the name alive.
That's right.
But thanks for coming on today, girl.
Thanks for having me. I've been avoiding this. The very first week, you were like, you got to be on a podcast. I said, absolutely not. And here we are 6 months later, and I want a podcast.
I know. She keeps saying, like, oh, man, I got nothing to say.
I feel that way.
I think this is one of my favorite ones I've ever done.
It's because we're together.
Maybe,
Oh,
but
my
still,
goodness.
I don't care.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, keep getting after it, everyone. And until next week.
Until next week.